Hello everyone, I'm happy to share my knowledge about multi-cloud strategy and practical guide to implement multi-cloud. I'm Ramu, I'm a Group Chief Technology Officer of Tonik Digital Bank, which is the first pure play digital neobank based out of Philippines. I have over 18 years of IT experience, and prior to Tonik, I was in work for Capgemini as an IT director. I have expertise to implement 20 plus bank channel transformations and digital transformations. I'm happy to today walk through with you on how multi-cloud is beneficial and what are the pros and cons, how to tackle multi-cloud strategy. Let's get into the topic, practical guide to multi-cloud. As an organization, if you want to migrate into a cloud, we should all have the guiding principle. There are few critical guiding principles which always help us to focus back on how to implement cloud strategy and effectively use it and build it. Number one, cloud native and containerization, which means you build and deploy your enterprise workloads and assets over cloud technologies, and all your applications and service components are either container based or managed service containers with clusters and auto scalable and easy to deployable in a cloud. Second item is invisible infrastructure, which means you create a strategy which help you to move into a zero on-prem architecture, which means your complete enterprise tech stack going to run out of secure public or private cloud. A third critical principle is microservices and open API. You have to design your interfaces. It can be a private or public APIs exposed via a proper API management platform over secure interface. And try to automate everything as possible, starting from infrastructure to design, develop, and test all your activities automated via tools and scripts and relevant processes, applying different artificial intelligence, machine learning capabilities, and robotic process automations. This is all available in part of various cloud components. And follow the SIT DevOps practice. It means the complete IT dev and ops will be automated from infra, dev, product, productions via blue-green deployment along with CI/CD pipeline, which is completely integrated, which means your security has been introduced by design from starting from development to a rollout, which is tightly coupled with dev and operational practices along with the tool chain. Then the last sixth pillar is your cloud cybersecurity. When you're moving to cloud, the whole security world little changed from your on-prem, what you protected versus cloud. You look at similar your current TRMs, which is SOC, your internal audit teams, your VAPTs, and your PCI compliance, endpoint security. Look for zero trust implementation in cyber security. Security is not compromised even if you move to cloud. Having said that, now let's look at it multi-cloud. Why multi-cloud strategy? We have two things we are going to talk about today. One is selection criteria and the consideration. So why we need to move to multi-cloud? One is best in build technology. When you look out, it can be private or secure public or a hybrid cloud, but each one bringing own capabilities and components, which link directly to a SaaS pricing and tier pricing, because in a traditional world, procuring infrastructure with big capex that distributed over 5 years. Now bringing pay-per-use model, bring a SaaS and tier price, scale as you need, scale as you want, which will give you a highly effective cost control and agility. Second one is a cloud native, serverless and containers and clusters. Data should be moved over persistence, which means your workloads are in a containerized and managed services, which can be less infra activity to be done on that, which is completely managed by the cloud provider. And data is securely moved, designed to move across the container to your monitoring systems and your backup systems. The third critical criteria is your service integration. Ensure when you're choosing cloud architecture over different cloud, there are different components you have to choose. For example, S3 bucket, ECS and EKS, Lambda services, there are different components which from application network and your server components from managed services as well as your workload component. Choose carefully and seamlessly integrate on the cloud native architecture. The next one is your monitoring and cloud management, because when you get into a multi-cloud, you need a cloud management platform to better monitoring, better deployment, and better asset management. And the next one is the vendor lock-in. So ensure you have chosen a component which is not going to lock you specific to vendor. For example, if you're using AWS, you can compare versus Lambda functions versus Anthos. Using Lambdas, you will get locked with AWS. Rather than if you go with the Anthos based containers, which will help you to move the same workload into multiple cloud. Then the next two key things are CI/CD pipeline, which means you should have your DevOps team know how they design the multi-cloud components, which can be deployable one-click blueprint deployments through from your non-production workload to your production workload. And the last one, continuous optimization and rationalization. Your team must be cost conscious. Cloud Getting into cloud doesn't mean you save money without putting the proper rationalization mechanism in place. Ensure your team is building the structure when to run the particular cloud infrastructure, whether you have automatically if 1 hour there is no workload, no requirement, no hits coming to the particular non-production instance, you can automatically shut down on your first request, you can automatically build it. There are technologies available. Even another example you can think about, if your team is not working on the nights, all the non-production environment can be automatically shutting down in the morning 7 a.m. It automatically ups and running. This is the automation you can perform to have the continuous optimization. Next, let's get into implementation approach. There are three ways you can approach for the cloud adaptation and cloud migration. If you might be a startup where you want to go into a greenfield mode, where you might be a existing cloud adopter where you want to get into transformative mode, or you are new to cloud, you might go into lift and shift mode. Let me go through each one of the model. Let's start from you are new to cloud, you are a legacy company, or you don't know how to get in there, but you want to be there, want to do a transformation in your organization. That is your most of us today forced to get into the digital transformation. In that, so if you don't have a strong cloud COE, or if you don't have or strong cloud knowledge, all you need to do is start from your non-production environment, look at your non-production workload, move that workload into your cloud in access model. For example, if you have a 2-tier or 3-tier architecture, take that workload, put it asset into cloud. For example, if you are choosing AWS, if you want you have a web tier, app tier, and database tier, just move as it is into EC2 instances and deploy those components and run it. That is the first best move for moving to cloud. And second approach, look at the applications where you want to start developing a small digital front-end application. It can be your mobile app, it can be a small web application, it can be your APIs. Bring those components into cloud. A third, try to apply two-speed consulting approach, which is guided by McKinsey, which means always look at your front-end application, which is a user accessible and less complexity. Move that front-end application first to cloud, then you talk about taking back-end application into your cloud approach. Second, transformative. You did a lift and shift. Now you have think about how to effectively use cloud component. That's called a transformative approach. You look at the whole your infrastructure in cloud, look at your layer by layer, apply the transformation layer by layer, which means there is a security layer where your networks and firewalls and load balancers, you know, your DDoS attacks, or where you protected. You look at that component. Then look at your demilitarized zone where you have internet facing application running. Then look at your application architecture where your applications and containers are running, where you can think about moving EC2 to containers or EC2 to managed service containers. Your databases into managed databases, which is, for example, in AWS it's RDS. In DMC, you can put a separate segmentation and expose only those public-facing interfaces into DMC, or expose the API as a public API, bringing the security, remove your traditional firewalls and systems, start using a cloud-based firewalls, which is inbuilt a part of your Google Cloud, or you can be, if you're AWS or Azure, start using in built-in security components and try to use all this layer connected through APIs as much as possible. This is a second steps. A third step, greenfield implementation. So you are a new fresh startup, or you are a fresh enterprise. You want to get into a cloud. This is where you start looking at best in breed. You can look at SaaS, software as a service, or PaaS, platform as a service, or infrastructure as a service. Any of this component, choose from any of the cloud. For example, a data lake might be good in Google Cloud, and your microservices and containers be best in AWS. You can look at your artificial intelligence might be good in Azure. Take about Think about each of the cloud best architecture, best component, and bring those into your cloud architecture. Then alternatively, all your new purchases you need to look at, is it cloud native? Is it multi-cloud deployable? So you have to look at whether your technology partners are cloud supportive, whether they can able to scale into multi-cloud deployable component. Mainly the two capability train in a cloud side, very, very attractive. Too many components are getting built, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning. It can be biometric, it can be your, machine learning algorithm models and data lake where you can build it. These are the two area where you can more focus on bringing that into our greenfield approach. So one of your, it might be the listeners who are looking at it here, start looking at one of the implementation approach which is suitable to you, but don't jump into big way. Always start very small and test it, whether it is working fine, suitable to your organization, then you scale it. Next, let's look at how to use multi-cloud in ideal world. Always, I advise most of my friends when they are adopting cloud, always single cloud is easy to get in. Then once you easy to get in, multi-cloud, you need to look at it differently. For example, the step one, putting the production separate, DR and business continuity plan in one cloud. Then second step, go for a single region with multiple availability zone with high availability. That's a second step, which means from single region, single availability zone, you are moving into multi availability zone with single region. This is your second step. If your second step you reach, then go for a multi-region within a single cloud. For example, India and Singapore, if you're using Azure. If you're using AWS, go for a Singapore and Hong Kong. Within two region, set up availability, multiple availability zone. That will help you to have a broader BCP, business continuity plan, architecture or multi-cloud. All you need to ensure your cloud components are adaptable. The fourth one is ensure your one production workload running on cloud A and the DR is set up in cloud B, so that always if cloud A failure, then cloud B will support. For example, AWS and GCP, you're running your digital front-end layer in production in AWS, set up a DR in Google Cloud. If ones go down, you can activate second. This approach again depends on your budget, whether you can do active or you can do active passive mode. When I say active, all you have based on the load, you can divert the route traffic into both the clouds, or you can active passive, which means always one cloud is active. Why I'm explaining all this? Your business might be start with small or medium or large scale. You need to look at your OpEx pricing. Today, cloud provider markets are it's competitive and it is a great price war today. Where 5 years or 10 years back when cloud is introduced versus today, the price is too much variations. So you all always have an option to negotiate with your cloud provider to get the better price, and always using the hosted managed services as your go-to-market model, where you can quickly manage those workload, and most of your resources are delegated to managed by the service provider. So you have a lean team at your organization, and that reduces your OpEx cost a lot. That means you are going to be burn 2 out of 10x model. Earlier, your budget was, if it is 1 crore, then probably you might end up paying 10 lakhs if you start following my recommendations. Having said that, there are few consideration and fallback. Always cloud, when you are getting into cloud means you are still adhere to local governance and compliance. Every country has their own data privacy and data residency policies governed by PDPA. When you're coming to data security, you have to be very careful. For example, there are countries where the data must be reside in local countries. There are countries where allow you don't need to keep the data in the local country. For example, if you are operating in Indonesia, you must have the data reside inside Indonesia. If you are using Philippines, you always need to follow the cloud security, but you don't need to keep the data in local. Thus, you need to look at your local compliance and regulations, and but ensure you have system configured with auto scaling. A lot of vendors, when I'm interacting, they always put lift and shift and put the fixed infrastructure part of the budgeting. But ensure you are scaling your components, scaling your workload. You have to always look at your architecture, which is auto scalable. Then, very important in your cloud strategy, the key consideration is the business continuity. Ensure you have your cloud infrastructure set up such a way, if something happened, how it has been enabled, start spinning it up quickly, or others cloud provider can support you quickly. And ensure you are not getting into any vendor lock-in, and always aware of the price. Don't get into 5-year, 10-year contracts with the cloud providers. Every year the price is getting dropped. So always work with them in a price conscious manner. Always have the door open for price negotiations. And for that, would like to show you the tech guys, the enterprise logical architecture over multi-cloud. This is one of the SaaS model you can follow. Ensure any enterprises will have system of engagement channels, system of customer experience platform, your orchestrations and middlewares, your system of records, system of operational support, and your data. So this different layer of different components can be placed in different cloud, and which can be wired up over cloud itself. So one of this reference architecture, I would like to present how the different layers can talk to each other over APIs and data transfers seamlessly over multiple cloud. Thank you all the viewers.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.